right, welcome back. And before we get into the specifics behind this workout, I know a lot of people that are watching these videos, they're following the programming. But for those of you who aren't, there are workouts, written programming that is attached with these videos, but this is for a specific group of people. And this is within an organization that I'm a part of called the School of Man. And these exercises are for the virtual boat crew, which is people all across the United States and international as well, people in the UK. There's a guy actually in Japan as well. So we use these workouts so that these guys can connect and get together and do this as a group, but also it's about more than just the exercise. We have spiritual growth part. There's a part where we are developing emotional intelligence. We're developing mental fortitude. So there's other parts to the School of Man, the most impactful men's group in the world, in my opinion. So if you have any questions about that, you can definitely shoot me a question. I can get you more information about that. But the exercise is a big part of it, because we know, me from personal experience, when I'm in the gym moving around, movement elicits movement. So when I'm moving my body, it can help me to move things in my mind if I have something I'm dealing with. So this kind of movement physically can propel us into other areas of growth in our lives. So just to put that disclaimer out there, there is specific programming that's attached to the video explanations of what I'm doing for these workouts. So if you have any questions, let me know. Now let's get into the specifics of this workout. This is actually a strength circuit that we're going to go through on this. So there's going to be 7 different exercises that we're going through, bang, 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 and we'll get right into it. So like always, warm up beforehand. For the guys School of Man with that programming, I have some suggested movements to do beforehand to prime the body, get it ready to go, because you can't just go cold into this. You could, but you could open yourself up to potentially injuring yourself. So hey, let's start the car, crank it up a little bit, let it get itself going before we just go right down the interstate 100 miles an hour. All right? Now our first move that we're gonna get into is a Pinlay Row. So I have some different options here, some different variations for whatever you're working with so that you can get this movement done. I have a barbell with some light plates on it here. Pinlay Row is going to have me with my feet about hip width apart. I'm going to hinge back to get myself into this position. Barbell starts from the ground. I come right up, right back down. It touches the ground. I'm pulling right back up, pulling my shoulder blades together. So you'll notice that hip hinge, it never changes. I never get into that bad position. So I'm not just hinging, I'm also going to bend my knees so that I can meet this barbell on the ground. I bring it right back up into my sternum and right back down. If you don't have a barbell, let's say you have your ruck. I'm just going to get my feet right outside of my ruck. There's my position. I've hinged. I'm bending my knees so I can meet this thing on the ground. Pull it up, right back down, kisses the ground, right back up. We have 15 of those. If you have a sandbag, you could use the sandbag. Same rules apply. Hinge, good spinal position, up, pause, right back down, pause. So use something along those lines. If you can, don't use dumbbells here. Try to find something that you can pull, like a ruck, sandbag, something. I mean, if you had to use your dumbbells, you could, but then it just turns into just a bent over row. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not the same thing as a Pinlay Row. So the next movement we can just cycle right into, because we're going to use the same thing we were just doing with the Pinlay Row. What I mean by the same thing is the same object. So if I was using my barbell with the plates, I'm going to use that to go into this deadlift. I'll show you here with the ruck. We have 10 reps in this deadlift. So I'm going to use my ruck. I'm going to come down. So notice here my spine's in a good position. I come straight up, squeezing my rear at the top. I'm resetting every time. So it's not bang, bang, bang. I'm here, up, 1. Right back down slowly, 2. Right back down, 3. So slow and under control on that as opposed to this. So we don't really want to go really fast on that. Like I said, Reset every time at the bottom, come up. You can even take your hands off of it, maintain a good spinal position, drive it through my feet, squeezing my rear at the top, right back down, reset, drive up. Maximum drive into the ground as you come up and squeeze your rear at the top. Maintain that good hinge position, driving your hips backwards, spine angle stays. All right, immediately following the deadlifts, we're gonna get right into a max effort broad jumps. We're gonna do 3 of them. I want you to walk back to the start position so that you can fully commit to a max effort on all 3 attempts when you do this, all right? So you're gonna set up, feet underneath your hips. You're gonna create some momentum as you come into this, and you're gonna get right into it. From there, we walk back. I breathe, I take a few seconds. Create my momentum. Just going through my rehearsed movement. And right back, offset push-ups with a shoulder tap. Build you something, a platform, something that's higher than the ground itself. I'm gonna put one hand on what I built, the other hand's gonna be on the ground. From here, I'm gonna get into my push-ups. So I'm gonna come down, chest to deck. The hand that's in the ground stays into the ground. I tap 1, 2, right back down. 1, 2, keeping my imaginary belt buckle squared up to the ground as opposed to coming over here. So I want to keep chest and belt lined up to the ground. I go from 4 points of contact into 3, maintaining good stability. I would do 10 more on the other side. Remember, whichever hand is in the ground stays in the ground. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Good push, good stability. Keep it tight. Right after the offset, push-up shoulder taps, immediately into 20 repetitions of a floor press. I have a ruck, I'm gonna use that, 20 reps. If you don't have a ruck, you could use a weight plate. You could use something, get creative, but I'm gonna be in this position from my chest, right over my chest, extending arms, straight elbows. I breathe out on my exertion. Exhale on exertion, that's the same. 20 reps there. Tall kneeling, dumbbell shoulder press. We're gonna alternate this. This is my tall kneeling position. Right here, squeezing my rear, hips are extended. Dumbbells, 12 of these on each side, keeping my core tight. Rib cage stacked right on top of my pelvis. If these ribs flare out, that means I'm hyperextended. They're no longer over my pelvis. That's a bad position for the low back. It means my core is not engaged, so squeeze my rear. That's gonna keep me in a good position. 1, 1. We're gonna go to 12, showing you from the side, squeezing my rear, keeping my ribs over pelvis. 1, 1. Not here, bad. Here it is. Slow and under control, baby. 12 each side. Kettlebell, ruck plate, whatever you have that you can suitcase carry. 30 seconds on the clock, small controlled steps. 30 seconds. This weight is hanging directly down from my shoulder. I'm not allowing it to pull me here. I'm not overcompensating here. I'm balanced. 30 seconds would be up on that side. I would switch it up. 30 seconds again. Getting both sides. Core's tight. Let's go. Resisting lateral movement, lateral bend. Keep your core tight. All right, so we had the strength circuit that you went through, the 7 exercises, minimal rest as you transition into each. Once you finish going through the circuit one time. You're gonna rest about a minute, you're gonna hydrate, you're gonna get back into it, you're gonna go through that 3 total times. Once you finish that, hydrate, you're gonna get set up for the stamina or endurance part of this workout for the day. And with that, it's gonna be 150 kettlebell swings. If you don't have a kettlebell, you can use a dumbbell. If you don't have that, you wanna use your ruck, you can do some ruck swings. It's 150, okay? And for you guys that are doing this together, I want you to do it together. Figure out how many reps you want to do at a time. Everybody's doing 150 reps. Like, that's not the question. It's just, how do you want to get there? Do it together. If it's 2 guys, 3 guys, 4 guys, whatever, do it together. Figure out how you're going to do it. I have my kettlebell. I'm going to get into position. Hike. It's coming up. Right back through. So here. Arms are long. So that's our kettlebell swing. You don't have a kettlebell, we can accomplish the same thing with my dumbbell. I'm gonna grab it here in this position, coming up. Notice every time I'm creating that good hinge. Every time I'm not really bending my knees, I'm driving my hips back and coming up. That's the options with our dumbbell, our kettlebell. I got my ruck, a little bit different, but longer object. You can hear my stuff's just kind of swinging around there, my hip belt. You might want to tighten that kind of stuff up if you're going to use your ruck. Just showing you the variety there. You can get it done with whatever you have. 150, figure out how you're going to get there. Efficiency, but quickest amount of time that you can do it, being efficient. There it is. It's all wrapped up, ready for you to take it on.